All right, guys, so finally, I guess I figured out how this works. So this is our inner clutch plate, pressure plate, and it looks like this little guy that fits on the edge of the rod. I told you there's that little circlip in there. Right there it sits. So it looks like this just sits right in the center of that. And then when that rod pushes out, it releases this and pushes that back and forth. So as far as getting this back together, that's about all we needed to know. There's no other way that this would work. So it just pushes on that and that clip stays in there. And that makes sense because the guy that took it out probably didn't even, like, that's the way it was. So right now, since I put the rest back in, all we really need to do is pop that on the end over the rod, and then all that slides down in. And because of pressure on the other side, just got to hold that in. And all I need to do yet, reinstall my little circlip here, and that'll hold that in place. So your whole clutch is being pressed on by two clips. So if any of those fail, you know what to chase. Then it wouldn't work. So I'm gonna put my other clip back in and we'll move on to the slave cylinder. Now that we got the right side of the clutch put back together, we're gonna dig into this side, and I believe this should be the same hex wrench or Allen key. That's an Allen key, right? With a hex wrench on the end. Anyway, this should be, so we're going into the slave cylinder today. Should be the same one. Yep. This is just a cover. Let's see if I can get this to torque without too much effort. If not, there we go. If not, I'll just do this off camera. So a single bolt right here. And take off our cover and show you where the slave cylinder is. If you never knew what's under there, this could be why your clutch doesn't work sometimes. Doesn't usually fix itself. Okay. What was that, a 5mm? It's the same as the other side. Yep, 5mm. And then our bolt comes off. There's our cover. Yeah, I don't know if that was actually leaking or not. Okay, a little dirty down here. Little dirty. This silver guy, that's your slave cylinder. That's what we're after right now. Wonder if that was just whatever gas came out of there. That might just be what that moisture was. So I think, let's see. I gotta pull this. This was where that other bolt was. There is some electrical tape down in here. Probably not meant to be there. Lots of dirt on some of these old bikes. So yeah, you're gonna pull this slave cylinder. Right here is your line. This goes up to the master cylinder on the handlebar. So if we disconnect this, we're going to have a leak. We're actually probably gonna have a leak no matter what once I take this off. So I should get something to catch that, and we'll go from there. So I need, wait, is this the same? I guess it would be. Same exact Allen key. So once I undo this, I'll probably have to undo this one too, because that's a bracket holding what's probably your line for your stator. We haven't checked any of that yet. Hopefully that's fine. There we go. So I got that. That's loose. That's loose. Look at that. Couple little screws all with the same tool, and you're in. So I'll check this one yet. This is going to be hard to do with one hand. Actually, I don't want to hurt myself. So once I crack this one, there we go. Now everything's going to be free. See, look at that. 1 minute, and you're practically in to your slave cylinder. I'll loosen these up. I'll get something to catch the brake fluid, and we'll go from there. Now here I broke my banjo bolt free here. And we're getting clean brake fluid through here, so at least we have clean brake fluid down in the line, which is good. It means just my master might need replaced, and then chase down with some decent brake fluid. And I don't want to have to replace the entire line, because that's a pain. Just do the components. Here we go. She's loose. I did get this bracket out of the way. I just loosened that one up, pulled out that bolt. Both those bolts are the same, so we don't get those mixed up. So what's nice is this thing's nice and loose, so she should wiggle out just fine. Ooh, oh boy. Did you see all that? That's brake fluid and junk. So this is gonna be why, sorry guys, this is definitely, almost certainly gonna be why our clutch stopped working and it was ripped apart, because somebody didn't bother to check their slave cylinder. So that is a crusty slave cylinder, but I've seen worse. All right, so all this needs cleaned up. There's our rod, see there in the middle? That's the rod that comes through from the other side. So what we're gonna do, hold up. What is going on here? What? Oh, that's an indent. Right, oh, I guess I shouldn't be really touching this. I forgot, yeah, that's indented there. So all this needs cleaned up with some brake. Well, I'm gonna scrape it out first. Get all the loose junk out of there. Good news is, I always like to have these gaskets. You can replace these, but I like when the gaskets are in good shape, and that one looks to be in good shape. So right here, this, let's see, the rod goes down the middle here, so this rod comes the whole way in, like if I was on the other side, I could push this out to about here. So this, you probably can't tell too well. This center guy is a piston. So brake fluid pushes from the back, and this is all the way out. So the clutch probably wouldn't engage because this wasn't going back in, I'm thinking. I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, this piston here, when you pull your clutch, it's supposed to push it this way and push your rod so it disengages the clutch on the other side. This doesn't look like it was doing that very well. So I have a rebuild kit coming for this sucker, so we can do that. There's this little guy right here. This might have been leaking, and or there's a ring on the seal on the outer of the piston, which keeps fluid from getting in here. I don't really think this right here, this should not be dirty. This should be clean. So that means it was leaking into here and probably not working anymore. So yep, this won't be hard to clean up. We'll get it all clean and reinstall it. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So anyway, I'll tell you what, this is probably why the bike stopped clutching. No clutchy from a bad slave cylinder. I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see this, but I pulled the rod out from the other side, and if you look up through here, you can see all the moisture, water that's been collecting in there. I mean, obviously we knew it was kind of wet, but all that is pass through for the rod. And on Magnas, there is a seal. Oh, it looks like the seal's there. You just can't see it beyond this plate. So there's a seal, it looks like, on the inside here. I think there is one. Yeah, I think there is a seal there, which there should be, to keep moisture and stuff. Well, there shouldn't be moisture in there anyway, but just to help the rod move smoothly. So I'm guessing You can see the gasket on the inside here. I guess if you took the side cover off, I think this piece right here, I think this could slide out of there. And then maybe that holds the seal in. I think that's how it goes. There you can see. So I think this plate holds the seal in there. The gasket. So anyway, that should be okay. I don't know. But I'm gonna use my air compressor and just blow a bunch of air through this. Maybe I can dry it up before it's all put back together. I don't want moisture on the inside of my engine. So I'm gonna blow some crap through there hopefully and dry it out a little bit. Look at all that crap that I blew out of there. Pretty nice, huh? Yep, definitely have moisture and water down in through there. So, yeah. It's good to know I'm getting it out. Probably won't get all of it out, but interesting nonetheless. I just scraped a little bit with a screwdriver quick. So now you can see the inner seal. So that's where the rod goes in. We got a lot of water sitting down in there, so that's gross. We're just gonna replace this, but that's your inner seal. Bunch of water and junk in there from the other side of the engine. Isn't that crazy? So you can actually see, still have water. Straight up water sitting down in there, and that grossness. And then this is actually a piston. So I've got to get this piston out of here. And the easiest thing to do is to have it on the bike and pump up the master cylinder. And let's see. Have it off the bike, pump up the master, and push it out from the inside. But I don't have it hooked up anymore. So either I find another way, or I hook it up to a system. You could also use air. Maybe I'll try to blow it out with air. Can do that. Sometimes that works. Might work in this situation. All right, guys, let me show you. I ran this. See, I took off the other, the bleeder nipple. So I ran this through the ultrasonic cleaner as it is right here. Luckily, it's not painted, so we don't have to worry about it. And then I was like, well, this didn't really move. I mean, it's not gonna pop out. So I started just pushing on it. And hey, I got it to move. And it's moving freely. Check that out. So now I'm gonna try and pull it out here. We gotta get the lip. See, there's a lip in there that pushes the fluid back. And this is the whole thing that it does. When you pull in your, so let me think about this. So this is supposed to sit in here freely. And when you push your lever up on your handlebar, it builds up pressure behind here with the fluid and it pushes it out just like a brake would. So that pushes, when you push in your handlebar, when you push in your lever, it pushes this out, which pushes the rod through the engine, which you saw, and then that releases your clutch because it loosens the plates. So there, we're getting that working. Got all kinds of junk working itself out there. So I should be able to pull this out now that it's free. There we go. Look, guys, first time I was able to use this, and I was able to get in there and grasp it, but it wasn't stuck anymore, so it definitely worked. But it usually doesn't work at all. So as you can see, this lip is on the inside. That keeps all your junk from getting out to where it's not supposed to be, and that's actually looks like it's working. So we're gonna replace that anyway, especially since I ran it through the ultrasonic cleaner. I am using Pine Sol, which actually shouldn't destroy rubber, but you can see how disgusting this was. I'm gonna run this through the ultrasonic. I'm gonna pull that gasket off so that can get clean on the inner groove. There's a spring that pushes it out. And yeah, a little bit dirty in there, That's okay, we're cleaning it all up. So I'm gonna run this now that it's apart, back through the ultrasonic cleaner. Looks like our temperature's finally catching up here. And yeah, I'm gonna rinse this, put it back in the water. There's the inner. So your seal, which looks disgusting. It's really not in bad shape. It's just disgusting from bad brake fluid sitting in there. And we're gonna get it all cleaned up. Run it again. Run it again, boys. Got these guys all cleaned up, and fine steel wool can be your best friend. I just took a little bit around the inside of that. The outside I'm not too concerned about. That's just a casing, and it doesn't really serve a purpose. And then I took a little bit over this, and everything actually slides right in and out. So we're just waiting for the seals, and we'll put it all back together. You can actually see here. See right down in there, everything's clean. Also over here, see right down in there, everything's clean. Our passageways are open, so she should be a good functioning piece. Good functioning clutch slave cylinder. Here we go. New parts finally came in for the clutch slave cylinder. So there's our new spring. I use old springs, usually doesn't matter. We have a new cap because a lot of times these get corroded because they're on the outside. There's our new cap. We have our new seal for the inside. There's our lip. Never did really clean this up. It's probably not shot, but hey, new one comes in the kit. And then we have our new center seal, which actually, this one looks pretty good. May not be as, it's kind of hard, but we can put all this back together. And let me pull them out. Okay, get a good up close of our seal here. This does go like this. Nope, that's upside down. Well, no, yeah. Anyway, okay. So yeah, this is the top of the piston. This is what faces out. And this has to go in here like this because keeping brake fluid behind it. So brake fluid helps push from behind. You can see here these little holes. Hole, hole, hole. That's because there's brake fluid behind there, pushing here and pushing this forward. So make sure when you put this on, you put it on correctly. The skinnier end goes on top. This one's easy. This guy, this little guy, right down in there, that's where your piston sits. Well, this just sits right in on top with the, well, you can see this inner sucker. Does this look different than my other one? It does look a little different than my other one. My other one has a lip on it, and this one do not. Okay, that's just kind of a bushing. Maybe that'll push in at some point. K&L's a good brand. I've never had issues with them. If you find All Balls, those are good kits too. But boy, it's cold out here. This just pushes right down in there. No biggie. My hand's cold. Yeah, it just pushes right down in there. Not a big deal. I'll push it in there with something. And then this guy slides over your piston, just like it was before. And then, of course, here's our housing. We don't really need to do much with that. This is where your main brake line hooks on. And it's actually, is that clean enough? I guess it's just staining. Yeah, that should be okay. And then here is where the bleeder goes. Before you put this bleeder down on, make sure your cap is in route. or you're gonna have to take it off again and then put it on again with your cap on there. See, and then that covers up there to keep dirt out of your bleeder nipple. So easy enough. I'm gonna reassemble this. And like I said, this is cold. What you wanna do, just take some brake fluid on the inside here, and when you drop this down on, that'll slide down in there nicely. And just make sure this lip doesn't fold back when it goes through here. So you wanna just make sure as you're doing this that you work it carefully down in so it seats nice and it doesn't get stuck in any way. All right, guys, when you get this on, make sure it's all seated around there correctly, and it's gonna do its job. And then I did coat this with oil. Don't forget to put your new spring on the back. That is pretty self-explanatory. Small end sits on there, and that keeps pressure on the back of the piston. And obviously, oh, the other one was nice. Watch this. The old one seems a little stiffer. It actually stays on there. I don't know. Maybe I like my old one better. Maybe I do. I mean, it's not going to be pushed around in there. I just kind of like how it sits on there and doesn't fall off. I don't want it falling off. I don't know. Let me look at these two. They look pretty much the same. I think I'll stick with my old one just because, I don't know, it just seems a little stiffer. And I like how it's stuck on there. Maybe this is a little cheaper. I don't know. I'm gonna drop it down. Like I said, when this goes in here, make sure you just kind of work it down around there so it doesn't get pushed up. There we go. Old spring's in there. Got it in. She's pushing back and forth. See, everything's free. Free and smooth. Okay. All I gotta do is push this puppy back on and spin it down. Okay, guys. Well, take our beautiful new, not new, somewhat new master or slave cylinder here. You know what? The master cylinder's up on top. The slave cylinder's down here. It kind of sounds terrible, but everything's good to go here, and it's clean inside. So let's go ahead, slide this in where it belongs. Make sure your gasket. Oh, did you see it? The gasket's on there. It's not even dirty. So that doesn't actually seal anything off. It just probably keeps it from vibrating apart. And slide this in here. I gotta grab my two bottom bolts, and we'll secure this in and wait till we get the passenger cylinder hooked up and we can bleed this thing out. There she is. I even took the bolt out from the cover. Remember, this holds the cover over this, but I took that out, so it's all ready to it's already set up in there to bleed once we hook up the master. Here's the line that comes down. I did clean up the banjo bolt, and yes, I'm using my crush washers again. There's one actually still stuck there, and then this goes through there and screws into the slave cylinder. Set that up there again, and yeah, slave cylinder cleaned. Next video will be, well, next video with this will actually be bleeding the new fluid down through to make it function. See you on that one. Get out and ride.